A lot of people say they want to heal from burnout, but if we're being honest, most people are trying to recover from burnout while still living the exact same way that burned them out in the first place. They want peace without changing anything. They want relief without slowing down. They want healing without actually listening to what their mind and body has been trying to say. And if that's where you are, this video is for you, because burnout recovery is possible, but it usually doesn't start the way people think it does. I'm Cyrus Asar. I run a burnout recovery center, wrote Burned Out but Built for More, and have spent over 25 years leading community impact. The goal is to be better than we are yesterday and apply that every day. Burnout is not just getting more rest. This is where I want to start, because a lot of people think healing from burnout means taking a weekend off, sleeping in, getting a massage, going on vacation. And don't get me wrong, those things can help, but burnout recovery goes deeper than rest. Because if the way you think, work, carry responsibility, and move through life stays the same, the burnout usually comes right back. That's why some people take a break, feel better for a few days, then crash again. Because they got relief, but they didn't get repair. And those things are not the same. And honestly, I understand that deeply, because I've had seasons in my own life where I kept trying to push through burnout while still expecting myself to function at a high level. Still trying to create, still trying to show up, still trying to carry what looked normal on the outside, while internally I knew something felt off. And I think that's where a lot of people are. They don't always look like they're falling apart, but they know they're not okay. And that's usually where healing has to begin, with honesty. If you really want to heal from burnout, you have to get honest first. Not performative honest, real honest. You have to ask yourself, what is actually draining me? What have I been pretending is fine? What part of my life keeps taking more out of me than it gives back? That's where healing starts. Because if you just keep calling it just stress, you'll keep trying to survive something your body is clearly asking you to address. And that's how people stay stuck. One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking burnout is only about work. And yes, work can absolutely contribute, but a lot of people are not just burned out because of their schedule. They're burned out because they have been carrying unresolved pressure for too long. That can be grief, people pleasing, never feeling like enough, always being the strong one, always being needed constantly to perform while emotionally feeling depleted. And work is often just where it finally shows up. That's a huge difference, because if you only blame your job, you may miss the deeper leak that's draining you everywhere else too. I remember working with someone who thought they were burned out because of work. And yes, work was heavy, but when we slowed things down and really looked at it, the deeper issue wasn't just the workload. It was the fact that work had become the place where all their unprocessed grief, pressure, and emotional exhaustion were finally catching up to them. And that's why I always tell people, you can't just remove tasks and expect deep healing if you never address what's been quietly draining you underneath it all. That's where burnout recovery becomes real. This is something I wish more people understood. Your body usually starts talking before your words do. Burnout doesn't just show up as, I think I'm overwhelmed. Sometimes it shows up as tightness in the chest, constant fatigue, brain fog, irritability, trouble sleeping, Sunday dread, feeling wired but tired, needing silence more than usual, feeling emotionally fragile over little things. And a lot of people keep pushing through those signs until their body forces them to stop. That's what happens when your system has been in survival mode too long. So one of the first parts of healing is listening earlier, not waiting until your whole system crashes. This one matters. A lot of people say they want peace, but they still measure their worth by how much they do. And that mindset will keep you sick. Because if your self-worth is attached to being productive, being needed, being available, being useful, being impressive, then slowing down will always feel uncomfortable. You'll feel guilty resting. You'll feel behind when you pause. You'll feel like healing is making you lazy. But that's not healing. That's conditioning. And until you challenge that, you'll keep trying to recover while secretly punishing yourself for recovering. And that's a miserable cycle. Now let's talk about what real healing can actually look like. It's not perfection, not overnight transformation, but real healing. And the first thing I want to say is this. Burnout recovery is less about one big breakthrough and more about consistent, small repairs. That's what people underestimate. It's not always dramatic. It's often daily. If you're burned out, your system is usually overstimulated. Too many decisions, too many notifications, too many people needing things from you, too many open loops in your mind. So one of the first ways to heal is to reduce unnecessary noise. That might mean less phone time, fewer instant responses, more quiet time in the day, saying no to things you're not emotionally available for, not overloading every open space in your schedule. Because if your nervous system never gets a break, your healing never really begins. This one is huge. A lot of burned out people are mentally trying to think their way into peace, while their body still feels unsafe. That doesn't work well. Your body needs signals of safety. And that could be a morning walk, deep breathing, stretching, prayer, quiet music, a massage, sitting in a room with no stimulation, getting in water, even 5 to 10 minutes of stillness. Not because these things magically fix your life, but because they teach your body we are not in emergency mode right now. And for a lot of burned out people, that's where healing starts. And I want to say this because a lot of people don't realize it. Healing from burnout doesn't always feel peaceful at first. Sometimes it feels uncomfortable. Sometimes it feels like restlessness, emotional release, crying more than usual, finally realizing how tired you really are, not wanting to be on all the time, feeling strange when you slow down. That does not mean healing isn't working. It often means your system is finally slowing down enough to feel what you've been actually carrying. That's important because a lot of people quit healing too early, simply because stillness starts showing them the truth. But that truth is often where healing begins. This one is deeper. A lot of burnout comes from repeatedly overriding yourself. You're tired, but you keep going. You're hurt, but you keep showing up. You need space, but you keep saying yes. You need help, but you keep acting like you're fine. That adds up. So part of the healing is learning how to stop abandoning yourself in small ways. This can mean honoring when you actually need a break, being honest about your limits, not overcommitting, speaking up sooner, choosing yourself before your system forces you to. This is not selfish. This is about self-respect, and burnout recovery requires it. Burnout recovery is not about removing what drains you. It's also about reconnecting what restores you. And I think people miss that because they get focused on survival. They forget they need joy. They need peace. They need laughter. They still need things that remind them that they're alive. That might be music, walking, quiet drives, real conversations with friends, being around people that feel light, creating, being in nature, doing something with no performance attached to it whatsoever. And that matters because healing is not just not feeling bad. Healing is slowly feeling like yourself again. This one is huge. A lot of people are trying to recover in silence. They're burned out, but still trying to carry it privately, still trying to look strong, still trying to figure it out without support. And honestly, that's one of the slowest ways to heal. Sometimes what helps most is having somebody help you see what's draining you, what needs to shift, what you've normalized for too long, what your body has been trying to say. Healing gets easier when you stop trying to do it in isolation. That can be a therapist, a coach, a trusted friend, a support system, Even just finally being honest with somebody safe. But trying to push through burnout by yourself usually just extends it. Here's the truth nobody likes hearing. Sometimes healing from burnout means your life has to change. Not always drastically, but honestly. Sometimes your pace has to change. Sometimes your boundaries have to change. Sometimes your relationships have to change. Sometimes your work habits have to change as well. Your identity. Because if the same version of you keeps trying to carry the same life the same way, the burnout usually stays close. You cannot heal burnout while staying loyal to the habits that created it. That's one of the hardest truths, but it's also one of the most freeing, because once you stop trying to force yourself back into the same unhealthy rhythm, you can finally start building a healthier one. And that's wisdom, not failure. I want to give you a better way to think about this. Healing from burnout is not about becoming a completely different person. It's about becoming a more supported version of yourself. That's it. A version of you that listens sooner, rests without guilt, stop proving yourself all the time, create room to breathe, stop treating peace like a reward. That's the version that you're trying to get back to, or maybe meet for the first time. And that's a beautiful thing. If you're burned out right now, I want you to hear me clearly. You are not lazy, you are not weak, and you are not failing in life. You may just be deeply depleted, and there is a difference. Burnout can make you feel like you're disappearing, like the patient version of you, the peaceful version of you, the clear version of you is gone. But most of the time, that version of you is not gone. They're just buried under too much pressure, too much output, too much carrying, too little recovery. And if you start listening to what needs your attention, you can find your way back. Not all at once, but piece by piece. And that's how real healing begins. Because burnout recovery is not just about getting your energy back. It's about reconnecting with the version of you that had peace, patience, joy, and direction before life started demanding more from you than you knew how to hold. That version of you is still there. Healing is how you find your way back. If this resonated with you, comment reset below and I'll send you the burnout check-in workbook. It's a simple way to understand where your burnout is coming from and how to start rebuilding. And if you're new here, this channel is all about helping people who feel overwhelmed, overworked, or stuck find their way back to clarity and energy.